Hello, my name is Zritskin and welcome to my channel. Today marks a new set of videos dedicated to up-and-coming video games, a series I'll call Up-and-Comers, where we give a short synopsis of a game and decide whether I would recommend buying it or not based on my experiences with the game and other games similar to it. So with that being said, let's take a look at the first and hopefully a long series of shorthand video game reviews, HYENAS. Let's start with some background on the game itself. The game is published by SEGA. If you don't know who SEGA is, then well, please stick your head out from under the rock that you've been living under. It's getting pretty stuffy down there at this point. Jokes aside, for those who generally do not know who SEGA is, they are a company who have been involved with the video game industry for the better part of nearly 35 years. Having started in the late 80s as a competitor to Nintendo with their Sega Master System and Genesis. Their record has been a little shaky in the last 20 years with a lot of Sonic duds and some games that were just left in the dark and never came to light, but they are also the ones who have given us wonderful gems like Yakuza and the early years of Sonic and now Sonic Frontiers. Personally, I don't feel that Sega is an immediate deal maker. In fact, in a lot of cases, I'd argue they may even be a deal breaker. However, producers aren't everything. The developers are the ones who stand out here. The developers of HYENAS are none other than Creative Assembly, the individuals based out of the UK who are known for the Total War and Halo Wars series of video games, as well as a few collections for Sonic the Hedgehog. While I personally do not know much about the Total War franchise, I can say without a doubt that they haven't been lacking in terms of development experience as well as likability, with the Total War franchise getting outstanding sales by longtime fans by quite a good margin every time a new version comes out. So needless to say, it's quite easy for me to say that these individuals don't really have a lot of bad press like the publisher Sega does, as well as so many other developers at this point in time. To me, this is a green flag, as even I know how much passion this developer puts into their games, and I haven't even played the video games that they do very often. But enough about the publisher and developer. Let's get right into why you're watching this video. The game itself. HYENAS is an up-and-coming video game in the extraction genre of video games. To be clear, those type games are like the multiplayer mode in The Division, The Dark Zone, Escape from Tarkov, and the recently defunct The Cycle. For those of you who are unaware of what those games entail, it means that you collect items from around the map and then go to a certain point and extract them to win. The game itself is stylized as a hero-based first-person shooter, similar to Overwatch, Apex Legends, and again, the defunct The Cycle. This means that you don't create your character. You instead have a distinct amount of characters that are all unique and have their own weapons and skills that you then put to use to win the matches. As of the semi-open beta, there are 9 characters you can play: Prima, Hiroki, Digits, Galaxia, Mozzie, El Saban, The Pro, Commander Wright, and Doc Hotfix. Each of these characters provide a unique flavor to the game. For example, El Saban is a sniper. She can focus down and kill players easily from a distance. And Doc Hotfix is a healer type character. His drone recovers himself and your team's base HP with a click of a button. There will likely be more to come once the game is released, so with the taste I got in this semi-open beta, I believe we can be pretty satisfied with how Creative Assembly creates their heroes for this game. Another massive green flag. As for the game modes, there are 2. Plunder Riot and Versus Murphs. There are 2 other modes known as Shooting Range and Tutorial, but those are just your basic training grounds where you choose a hero, go in, shoot some targets, use their moves, learn how to play them, so on and so forth. And a basic tutorial where you learn the basics of the game. This game's main mode, though, is Plunder Riot, a 3v3v3v3v3 player versus enemy versus player style mode. That's right, in Plunder Riot, you are competing with 4 other teams of up to 3 players. The secondary mode is a player versus enemy style game mode called Versus Murphs, where it's just you versus the AI controlled NPCs with no other teams on the map. To be clear, I don't mean hero-based NPCs, I mean the basic enemy mooks that guard all the zones in the game. These are known as Murphs. In both modes, you are attempting to do 3 things. First, you gather your gear through blue gear rooms. Once you stocked up, you gather your team and start attacking merch zones, which are the golden zones on the map. Once you reach the limit for the merch, you then activate the extraction zone to win the game. Sometimes merch limits are as low as 8k worth of merch. Sometimes limits are as high as 10k worth of merch. Any merch you get that you can extract with can then be used to either get extra HYENA coins, the stuff you unlock and buy stuff with, or RP, which stands for reputation points. The more reputation points you have, the more your reputation level increases. As of now, we are unsure of what that really means though. My only real complaint about this entire section is that if you have a teammate who doesn't know what they're doing or are going off on their own, you will find that Plunder Riot is not that fun. Ultimately though, that's the risk you take in any game that is team-based, so I can't put that particular point as a red flag, when the other aspects of the game modes are so much fun. Now, as far as the gameplay is concerned, I have to admit it's very familiar in concept. The gameplay is very much like Apex Legends, down to the fact you have to get these parts for your gun. However, you don't have to pick up guns themselves, as your character has a base gun that they use. They even have the ability to slide while running. It's pretty fun. Every character also has their own capabilities and ultimates and specials that allow you to bring unique flavor to the game. Instead of launching up into the air and flying off to separate parts of the map, you are activating things like zero gravity and flying across rooms with a ship. Also, the map isn't nearly as big as Apex Legends, and the matches only last generally 10 to 15 minutes rather than 25 to 30 minutes. Like stated, in Plunder Riot, you're facing off against 4 other teams of 3 versus your team of 3. And in Murphs, you're taking on AI-controlled security in each room. Though in Plunder Riot, you also have to deal with them, plus the other characters. Being how familiar it is and how you play and fight and such, I have to say going for a gameplay style like this is a green flag, allowing new players who may have come from these other games to have a familiar playstyle that will help them slide right into the game without any problems. Finally, I want to talk to you about my biggest selling point for this game. It may not be big for others, but I love the aesthetics of this game. As you've probably seen in the background as I've been talking, the game's beta gives off a really nostalgic aesthetic vibe of the retro 80s. It has Sega merchandise, it has strong 80s and early 90s memorabilia, and a lot of the rooms just resonate with those who love the nostalgic feel of retro. I personally do love the design, and I think it's well worth being the selling point for me with the rest of the game's green flags we have in this review. So to end off our shorthand review here of HYENAS, would I recommend looking into the game and purchasing it when it comes out? Well, yes actually. With only one red flag and a majority of green flags, I can say wholeheartedly yes. Ultimately, it is your decision whether you spend money to buy this game. But my experience with the game has been mostly positive with my friends. And I strongly believe that this game has a future if it can have the players and not be scrapped by Sega. After playing games like Overwatch, Apex, Tarkov, The Cycle, and so many more, I can say that I've had more fun with this game than a majority of those games combined. And at the end, that's what it's about, right? Having fun and enjoying yourself? Well, this has been Zaritskin. Thanks for watching.
said stop playing with the merch and move.
Can't you see we're busy?
Yes, very busy, darling.